I just pulled my big batch of sourdough, everyday dough out of the fridge. And one of the questions that we've been getting so much is, do I need to cover my dough or should I leave the lid cracked? Is this like sourdough starter and I need to allow like space for like gas to come out, or should it be closed tight? The answer is tight. You want your lid tight. You want it to be airtight, because if it is not airtight, in your fridge, the top of the dough will begin to dry out. You don't want it to dry out. But here's the thing, is that when you make your dough, it is fermenting the whole time that it's in the fridge. And so you want to have space. So this is enough dough for 2 loaves. And we make both of the loaves 900 grams. So this is 1,800 grams of dough. And if you put it into too small of a container, it will literally blow itself out of that container. So expect that your dough is going to rise even in the fridge. Now here's the cool thing about cold fermentation, is that it slows the process down, which means that all of that happy natural sourdough bacteria in the dough gets a longer chance to work on the gluten, which makes it so that you actually have better flavor. You're gonna get a better texture to your bread. The crust will be a little bit better. So if you've had trouble with your crust being like too hard, try cold fermenting it. Now, the biggest reason why I love cold fermentation is because it allows me to make this big batch of dough on Monday or Tuesday, and it sits in the fridge until we are ready to make a loaf of bread on Thursday or Saturday. It can sit in the fridge for up to 10 days and it still makes a great loaf. So the other perk to cold fermentation is that you don't have that concern of when you allow the dough to sit on the counter and to do this like long proofing on the counter. It's 100% possible for that dough to overproof. Once your dough overproofs, there is quite honestly nothing you can do to save it. At that point, you just need to make crackers or focaccia bread or flatbread. So when I cold ferment in the fridge, it's pretty hard for the dough to overproof because it would need to sit in the fridge for more than 10 days. Sometimes I've even stretched it to 14 and I could still make a great loaf of focaccia bread. So these are the benefits of doing cold fermentation, and just make sure that your lid is on really tight. You don't want to just loosely cover, because then your dough is actually going to begin to dry out. And I want you to see what this looks like. This has been in the fridge for 3 days. I think it's been 3 days, but I just want you to see what the dough looks like. It's not really sticking to the sides of the container. There's a little tiny bit of moisture on it, like just a little bit is getting on my hands, but lots of big bubbles because the sourdough has been in there working, and this is going to make the most beautiful loaves of bread. So when you put your dough in to your refrigerator, make sure that you have a big container. So give it space so that if it decides to rise and double, it has space to do that. You don't want it to pop out of the container. When it pops out of the container, it starts to dry out the dough that has popped out of the container. And that dried dough, you just have to kind of rip it off and throw it away. Okay, so the other thing is that when your lid is not tight, it's allowing oxygen to get down into your container. And when oxygen is in there, lots of it, and it's just like recycling through there, it can actually make your dough turn kind of like a grayish green color. It's oxidizing it. It's just the oxygen working on the dough. It can kind of change the color of it. Nothing is wrong with the dough. It's not moldy. It's because the air has been getting in there, and it is just like when you cut an apple and the apple starts to turn brown because the air is hitting it and it's oxidizing it. So if you're noticing a little tinge of a different color, like that like grayish greenish tinge on your dough when it sits in the fridge, it probably means that your container is not airtight. So make sure that it's airtight. Lots more tips coming for you on how to bulk proof your dough, how to make the most of cold fermentation, because here's the thing, it wasn't until I realized we did not have to slave away on sourdough every single day of the week, feeding it constantly and dealing with it and being a slave to it, that I actually started to really enjoy making sourdough. And I want to help you find that same freedom in it. I don't follow all the rules, and I'm giving you all of the permission to break the rules with me, because guess what? We're still making great bread, and sourdough is so forgiving. So come and bake with me. We're putting lots of links down in the description below for our whole sourdough playlist. Lots of fun recipes. If you have way too much discard and you don't know what to do with it, we have recipes for that too. We love having you here at Cider Press Lane.